My friends, we have some big updates to get through this deadline day, so I hope you guys are ready for today's reports. Of course, share your thoughts and opinions, hit that like button as always, really supports the channel, and tune in later around 7 p.m. for my watch along stream for tonight's game against West Ham. So, big day of content. Hope you guys are here with me, and I hope you enjoy the video. The first update, we say goodbye to Joao Felix, who today has agreed a deal with AC Milan to sign for them on loan. There's no option to buy included. The loan fee is around 5.5 million euros, and Milan will pay his full wage packet. Now, if you remember in the summer, Felix took a big discount, of course, to sign for us to begin with, so it seemed like this was very manageable for Milan. And now we wait to see what Felix does in Milan this season. Of course, Conceição has some big plans from alongside Santiago Jimenez. Ideally, you think to yourself, he performs, he plays well, and Milan exercised the right to buy him on a permanent, but when's the last time they've done that outside of signing common players from us? So good luck to him. Of course, I feel this frustration. I definitely sympathize. I don't think it's his fault. Listen, you guys know my thoughts and opinions during the summer. I didn't agree with Felix in for Conor Gallagher. But at the same time, I don't want to see Felix do badly. I've been a big fan of the player for a long time. I'm hoping that some club can finally unlock and uncap this guy's potential. He hasn't been bad for us this season. A shame that he hasn't got many consistent opportunities under Maresca. But at the same time, I kind of get it too from Maresca's perspective. You know, I want a team that's in my image. I didn't ask for all these additional 10s that I can't even really use. So, you know, for me, I feel like you have to look up and look at the directors for these types of opportunistic deals where we're forever catching our tails. You know, we strike one opportunity deal, that doesn't go through. We have to salvage that somehow, and then we just continue this cycle that goes nowhere. And until we really have a squad in the image for any of our managers, we aren't going to go past the level we're currently at right now. So there are my thoughts on that, but I'm excited to see what Felix does with AC this season. So yeah, hopefully it goes well for him. My friends, we remain in Serie A because an interesting report came out today from Gazzetta dello Sport, and is Jorge Mendes plotting a madness for us? Because they report today that Mendes was with Kenan Yildiz's parents and advisors, as it seems like big Premier League clubs in Man City and us, they are now exploring the possibility of a summer move for this wonder kid. Now, it's pretty exciting stuff, pretty exciting news. Of course, Mendes is the agent of Yildiz, and you think to yourself, because Mendes, and again, this is my opinion, not you think for yourself, I'm just sharing my little initial thoughts on this news. Did the club give the blessing to allow Felix to leave to get consistent wins? We know Mendes from the start of this window have been in many discussions with many clubs over Joao Felix's loan. Milan won in the end, but to allow his client to get consistent minutes in game time, could he be helping us behind the scenes engineer moves for alternatives or other players who are part of his books for next season? Because Kenan Yildiz would be a very interesting talent. I'm sure you guys have heard my thoughts and opinions on this kid. And for myself, I've always felt like when you want to sign a wonder kid for a club of our stature that's hoping to compete and do things, I've always very much been in favor of signing these particular wonder kids from already established football clubs, you know, because if you're already performing as a team at this level already, handling the pressure, the spotlight, the expectations, and getting used to that type of rhythm, I feel that's a very transferable quality that we can use in our team. And let's use Mudryk for an example. For all the talent he has in terms of his attributes, I think psychologically, I think in terms of his confidence, he was never really able to display the full extent of his ability, because here's where things got capped. And maybe if he was at a big club environment from a team, he would have been a lot more ready for this type of environment, right? But Yildiz would be a very interesting name for the summer. What's interesting is some of the asking fees that Juventus would possibly be in for if they sold him. And that's between 80 to 90 million euros, around 70 to 75 million pounds. Now, Juventus's dream is to sign Victor Osimhen in the summer to replace Vlahovic. Vlahovic hasn't agreed to signing a contract extension. They'll have to sell him eventually before his contract goes. And I think, you know, Osimhen would really complement what they're doing, especially as they sign a similar profile in Kolo Muani. So let's see what happens there. So there could be a bit of like a merry-go-round where Juventus have a ton of money to reinvest back into the squad from selling Yildiz, even though I'm sure it won't be a very popular opinion with their fans. And maybe we are, you know, taking on board a genuine wonder kids who, you know, did big things with Bayern Munich. Juventus did an amazing deal to sign him on the free. And over the last 2 years, he has been playing. He's slowly getting better. But again, if you ask me, am I splashing 70 to 75 million on this kid's head? I say absolutely not. I think that's way too much money for the player he is right now, even though he has big potential. I think Yildiz, typically at this age, he needs more consistency. He's been floating around in different positions under Motta this season. Of course, attribute-wise, I mean, silky first touch. Like, the ball is glued to his feet when he like finds separation with his man. Great, excellent technique in tight spaces. He's great at moving into space and creating space for his teammates. He has that confidence in himself, a bit of like flair and audaciousness as well. And I feel like he could be like a big attacking player in the future. So I think it's pretty exciting news to hear that there's a possibility that Yildiz could be available in the market. I don't think the Serie A clubs can afford to say no to selling anyone if the money is right for their star talents. And we are looking for that, you know, super talent down the left-hand side to support Jadon Sancho, you know. I wasn't really a fan of Garnacho, even though I could see why the club would want him. But for myself, if I'm going for a talent down that side, one key thing I ask for, one key thing is someone that has take-on ability, take-on success rate, that can create with their dribbles. I think that's such a key thing to have alongside finishing and all that good stuff. That is what the big clubs need. And we need that type of talent. You know, him, Bino Gittins, these are the type of talents that kind of excite me, to be fair with you. But listen, ideally, this is where I sound very contradicting. If I had to splash 70 million, I'm only signing Mohamed Kudus. Personally, I could probably even sacrifice signing another wonder kid when we have Esteval Willian coming next season, for God's sake. I think that's more than enough that we have in the squad. And I think Kudus, with his ability to play everywhere in the attacking areas, centrally, out wide, even up front, I think he would complement Maresca's system a lot more and adds instant upgradable quality to this team right now. And we're at a point right now, for God's sake, where we can't keep waiting for the future. At some point, we have to start preparing to really cement our challenges and ambitions for a season. So what do you guys think about this Kenan Yildiz news? I know a lot of you guys are excited. I think this kid is an excellent, excellent talent. And if he's available for less money in the summer, let's see what happens, right? And for the third update, Axel Disasi is set to become an Aston Villa player this season. Villa have agreed a £5 million loan fee package with us, and they're set to cover the entirety of Disasi's wages. So good for Disasi. He remained adamant that he wanted to play at Aston Villa. He wants to contribute. He's already agreed terms. He did not want to go to Tottenham. And when Tottenham had a similar deal agreed upon, it was kind of confusing me why Aston Villa wouldn't be allowed to, of course, agree the same deal that we agreed to with Spurs. I get it though, of course, Villa are fighting for a UCL spot. There are competition, I understand, but I think this late into the window, with the amount of defensive depth we have, we can't have it our way every single time. So good luck to Disasi, and yeah, hopefully Aston Villa decide to buy him on a permanent after his loan spell. And now, my friends, we discussed the latest deadline day news because we are close to securing deals. For the first deal, we finally agreed a fee with Saint Etienne for MATHIS AMOUGOU for around 15 million euros, 10 million pounds. Now, reports mention that Chelsea have agreed a fee, but does that necessarily mean he is set to join our squad? Who knows? At the moment, the news is a bit contradictory. Wait. Quick interruption to the reports, my friends. I'm allowed to do this, my channel, my rules, but we actually do have clarity on this situation. And in fact, we have secured our midfield reinforcement for the season, as Amougou is set to remain with this squad. So that is the big news we're waiting for. He signed the deal. He is our player. And tomorrow, my friends, I'm going to be releasing an analysis video just to give you guys some more insight behind his game. who he is and what to expect. But I guess the reality simply is we need midfield reinforcement, and if anything, he can still go on loan to Strasbourg next season, but at least he gets to acclimatise to the system, the tactics, he has an arm around him, and hopefully he can offer us something to help us finish games a bit better. And I'm curious to see what he does in the cup games, because I imagine this guy should be getting opportunities in those games to kick things off. So Amouugou, I discussed him in today's video, a Lavia style type of player, you know, quite intelligent. Again, it's quite hard to really suss out the difference between why an Amouugou is like, I don't know, just hypothetically for the argument, let's say better than Lavia or not. A lot of these players these days have a bit of a similar profile in terms of what they do, how they affect the game on the ball. So yeah, I can't sit here and tell you the key difference. I do think it's another interesting addition for Strasbourg. And again, you know, now that Strasbourg are looking a lot more promising, I guess that's given me a bit more confidence about the future of this feeder club and the access of player we could actually get from them if these guys keep on developing and improving. Sorry, my friends, I keep saying £10 million. It's closer to around £12 million. And L'Equipe are the publication that confirmed the fact that Amouugou will be sent directly on loan to Strasbourg, which really helps their endeavours for the season. And most importantly, it allows Amouugou now to get settled at Strasbourg and get ready to take over Andre Santos's place for next season. So I can kind of understand the move. And for the final big story, we turn our attentions to Record in Portugal, as they reveal that we are close now to agreeing a €20 million fee with Sporting Lisbon for their very exciting talent in Dario Essugo, who's currently on loan at Las Palmas. Now, I've discussed Essugo before in a previous news video where I went into depth about his game, what he can bring, what he can do. I'll give you guys a little brief recap on what he's about. I think he's a very interesting six-style player, and the fact that you're able to sign him for such a pretty good discount with the role he's performing really well with Las Palmas this season. They're really disciplined, intelligent six role, which is a little bit different. You know, a lot of times when teams using their sixes, they're like the holding guys that are like receiving from the centre backs and kick-starting the play. But Las Palmas play a little bit differently. They look to create more vertical attacks, and so they have to use like long balls, a long ball distribution. So a lot of times Essugo plays like, you know, these really interesting pressing traps to attract the opposition onto him by moving to form a makeshift back three with Las Palmas. By doing that, it stretches the pitch and it allows their centre-backs to play the more progressive passes at times to find players further up the field. But naturally, when you're playing more vertically, it does also allude to the fact that your midfield player will also have to be capable playing off the ground. And I say Essugo, in terms of his switch balls and his distribution, I think is really strong for his age. But I think what I really like about Essugo, obviously I've looked at his FB ref before, things like 99th percentile for interceptions. That just communicates this is a thinking player. His anticipation is great. He's thinking about where he is on the field in terms of positionings, in terms of how he's scanning, in terms of how he's, screening the opposition's press behind him, little facets and details, and how he's in communication with his defense, which he has done, with all those things, a really good level this season for Las Palmas. And I think you really see this in little details too, like why it explains why he's pretty decent aerially for someone who's like 5'10". A stocky figure, powerful, not the fastest, but got good pace. But I think the anticipation, you really notice how he times his jumps to win these balls. I've always felt like anticipation is better than just having natural type of lift when you're jumping, right? And I actually noticed this the first time under Didier Drogba, who for me, people would say he was like stupidly strong. He was strong. But the reason why he was even stronger than he actually looks was because of his intelligence, his technique, how he used his body to unsettle, move defenses, but most importantly, how he would time his leap in the air perfectly. Like, he really mastered that particular skill. So it's interesting that someone this young has a similar type of capability in their game. But naturally, Essugo wouldn't be coming here for this season. Why? Because the reality is, and I didn't realize this at the time, but he's already played for Sporting. He got the loan move to Las Palmas. In like one season, he can only play for 2 clubs. So this would be a move for the following summer that we'd be essentially securing in advance so other clubs can't beat us to his competition. And he'd then be finding himself loaned out to Strasbourg, which, again, if you're going to be taking Andre Santos, I think you're a Strasbourg fan. You got good talents in Essugo and Amougou who could really be of use to what you're doing. That's not too bad, in my opinion. For the moment, my friends, it feels like Strasbourg are like the main club, and we're feeling like the sister club on deadline day. I mean, throughout January, I didn't really care for any ambitious signings. I think you guys know this. I just wanted some smart acquisition that could help us in the short term to just kind of paper over some of these like tactical cracks that we're seeing at the moment. If we had a bit more depth, could have been useful. I wanted to see that big target man to give us a genuine different option for the team. And I wanted more reinforcement in midfield so we can flip in sub off Cole Palmer, who just can't be playing full 90s. I think it's really clear. And even Enzo Fernandez, who I think as the game goes on and he gets tired, his defensive IQ can kind of slip quite a lot. So it's not an ideal situation to be in when you're fighting for a top 4 spot. But yeah, you know, we've got a few hours left before deadline day ends. I'll be engineering a madness behind the scenes. I mean, probably not. At the moment, I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe Sam Rakzaki hopefully just gets more opportunities. You might have to use what we have to safeguard what we're doing. Let's keep things brutally real. So my friends, that's the latest news. Get involved, share your thoughts and opinions. And of course, don't forget to catch out my match review for our game. And of course, don't forget to come back for the match review for our game against West Ham tonight. So yeah, see you guys all soon. Cool.